Staff Sergeant David Mitchell noticed the scuff marks first. Small, barely visible against the marble floor of the East Wing corridor. But they were fresh. He'd walked this exact hallway the night before during final rounds. Those marks hadn't been there. He slowed his pace. Not obvious, just a subtle shift. Years of military service had taught him to trust his instincts. Something was off. The morning light filtered through the tall windows, casting long shadows across the polished floors. Everything looked normal. Portraits of past monarchs stared down from their gilded frames. The grandfather clock ticked its steady rhythm. Staff moved quietly through their routines. A typical Thursday morning at the palace. Except it wasn't. Mitchell stopped at the corner where the corridor branched toward the private family quarters. The scuff marks led that direction. Dark rubber, like someone had been dragged, or had dug their heels in while being pulled. His radio crackled softly. Normal morning check-ins, everything routine. But those marks, and something else. The door to the storage room, usually locked. Today, slightly ajar, maybe an inch. Enough to notice if you were paying attention. Mitchell was always paying attention. He'd been serving as a royal guard for nearly 8 years. Multiple deployments overseas before that. Extensive service record. 4 commendations. Not a single disciplinary mark. He knew when something didn't fit the pattern. Before we continue, make sure you hit subscribe. Drop a comment below where you're watching from. Now, back to what happened next. Mitchell approached the storage room door. His hand didn't move toward his radio yet. Had no need to raise alarms over scuff marks and an open door. Could be nothing. A cleaner forgot to lock up, someone grabbing supplies in a hurry. But his gut said otherwise. He pushed the door open slowly. The hinges creaked. Not loud. Just enough to announce his presence. The room was dark. Shelves lined both walls, stacked with linens, cleaning supplies, spare furniture covers, everything organized, everything in its place. The palace ran on precision. Mitchell reached for the light switch. That's when he heard it. A sound so quiet he almost missed it. A sharp intake of breath. Someone trying very hard not to make noise. His training kicked in. Don't announce yourself. Assess the situation first. He stepped inside. Let his eyes adjust to the dimness. The breathing came from the far corner. Behind a stack of storage boxes. Hello? His voice calm, authoritative but not threatening. This is royal protection. You need to identify yourself. Silence. Then movement. Small. Careful. A figure emerged from behind the boxes. Small frame. School uniform. Dark hair pulled back. Princess Charlotte. Mitchell's mind processed this in seconds. The king's granddaughter, 9 years old, should be at school. Why was she hiding in a storage room? Your Highness, he kept his voice gentle. Are you all right? Charlotte looked up at him. Her face was pale, eyes red like she'd been crying but was trying to hide it. I'm fine, she said, quietly. Too quietly. I just needed a moment. Mitchell had children, 2 daughters. He knew what a child looked like when they were lying to protect themselves. Does anyone know you're here? He asked. She shook her head. Her hands were clasped in front of her. Proper posture. Royal training showing through even now. I should escort you back to your quarters, Mitchell said. Your parents will be worried. No. The word came out sharp, then softer. They don't know I left. I'll go back. I just need another minute. That's when he saw them. Her wrists. The cuffs of her school uniform had ridden up slightly when she'd emerged from her hiding spot. Red marks. Distinct. Circular patterns. Fresh. Rope burns. Mitchell's chest tightened. He'd seen those marks before during active duty. People who'd been restrained, tied up, held against their will. Charlotte. He used her name, not protocol. But this wasn't a protocol situation. What happened to your wrists? Her hands moved quickly, pulled the sleeves down, covered the marks. Nothing. I fell during PE. It's fine. Charlotte, firmer now. Look at me. She did, and in that moment, he saw it. The fear. Real. Deep. The kind of fear that made a child hide in a storage room instead of going to her parents. Who did this to you? Mitchell asked. She opened her mouth, closed it, looked toward the door like someone might be listening. I can't, she whispered. Yes, you can. Whatever happened, whatever you're afraid of, I need to know. It's my job to protect you. Charlotte's eyes filled with tears. She blinked them back, trying so hard to be brave. She said no one would believe me, Charlotte said. She said I was making things up, that I was being dramatic. Mitchell crouched down. Eye level with her now. Who said that? Charlotte's voice dropped to barely a whisper. Grandmother Camilla. The name hung in the air between them. Queen Camilla, the king's wife. One of the most powerful people in the entire royal family. Mitchell felt his pulse quicken. This wasn't a simple situation anymore. This was palace politics, so royal hierarchy. The kind of accusation that could end careers. But he looked at those rope burns, at Charlotte's terrified face, at the way she was shaking despite trying to appear calm. His training said, wait for authorization. His gut said, act now. Tell me everything, he said. Charlotte glanced at the door again. Not here. Someone might hear. Mitchell thought fast. He couldn't take her to an official security office. Too many people. Too many questions. He needed somewhere private. Somewhere she'd feel safe enough to talk. My office, he said. In the East Guard station. It's quiet. No one will bother us there. She hesitated. Charlotte, I give you my word. Whatever you tell me, I will believe you, and I will do something about it. She studied his face. Whatever she saw there must have convinced her. Okay, she said. They walked through the palace corridors. Mitchell kept it casual. Just a guard escorting a princess. Nothing unusual. But his mind was racing. Rope burns. Camilla. A terrified child hiding instead of seeking help. What the hell was going on? The East Guard station was a small office tucked away from the main palace flow. Mitchell used it for paperwork, report writing, the occasional private meeting. It wasn't fancy. Desk, 2 chairs, filing cabinet, but it was secure. He closed the door behind them, gestured for Charlotte to sit. Start from the beginning, he said. When did this happen? Charlotte took a breath. Her hands twisted in her lap. Yesterday, after school, Grandmother Camilla asked if I wanted to see something special. In the old tower, the one they don't use anymore. Mitchell knew the tower. East side of the palace. Historical wing. Mostly storage now. Tours didn't go there. She said it was a secret, Charlotte continued. Just between us. She was being really nice, smiling. She brought tea and biscuits. What happened then? Charlotte's voice got quieter. We went up to one of the rooms. There was this old trunk. She said it had belonged to Queen Victoria, that she wanted to show me something inside. She paused, swallowed hard. When I got close to look, she grabbed my wrists. She had rope. I don't know where it came from. She tied me to the old radiator. Mitchell felt cold. For how long? Hours. I don't know exactly. It got dark outside. I was so cold. The room has no heat. Did she say why? Did she explain? Charlotte nodded. She kept saying I needed to learn my place, that I was too privileged, too spoiled, that she was teaching me a lesson about what real hardship felt like. Mitchell's jaw clenched. He forced himself to stay calm. Professional. Did anyone else see this? Staff? Other family? No. She made sure no one was around. She said, if I told anyone, she'd say I was lying, that I was a difficult child making up stories for attention. She said everyone would believe her, not me. How did you get free? She untied me before dinner, told me to go wash my face, act normal, Said if I breathed a word to my parents, she'd make sure I regretted it. Charlotte looked up at him. Please don't tell me you don't believe me. I'm not lying. I swear I'm not. Mitchell reached across the desk, not touching her, just a gesture of reassurance. I believe you, Charlotte. Every word. Relief flooded her face, then fear again. But what can we do? She's the Queen. She's not above the law, Mitchell said firmly, and she sure as hell isn't above protecting children. But even as he said it, he knew the complexity of what he was facing. Accusing Queen Camilla of child abuse, the king's wife, without witnesses, without proof beyond rope burns that could theoretically have come from anywhere. He needed to be smart about this. I need to examine those rope burns properly, he said, and I need to document them. Photographs, medical assessment. Is that okay? Charlotte nodded. Mitchell pulled out his phone. In standard protocol for evidence documentation, he photographed both wrists, close-ups showing the distinct circular patterns, the redness, the way the marks wrapped around her small wrists. Does anyone else know you're here? He asked. I told my protection officer I was going to the library. He's waiting outside. Smart girl. Always telling someone where she was going, even when hiding. Mitchell's mind worked through the options. He could go through official channels, file a report, let the palace handle it internally. But palace protocol protected the institution first, individual people second, especially when those individuals were children and the accused was royalty. He could go directly to William, Charlotte's father. But would William believe this without more evidence? Would he think his daughter was confused, mistaken? Mitchell had seen it before during his years of service. People in power protecting other people in power. The system closing ranks. He needed more than just Charlotte's word and photographs. He needed something concrete, something undeniable. The room where this happened, Mitchell said. The old tower. Is the rope still there? Charlotte thought about it. I think so. She left in a hurry when the dinner bell rang. She just untied me and said to leave first. She'd follow in a few minutes. Physical evidence. That could change everything. Can you show me which room? Charlotte hesitated. What if she sees us? She won't. I'll make sure of it. Mitchell checked his watch. 10:30 in the morning. Camilla would be in meetings until lunch. Official schedule. Public calendar. She couldn't deviate without it being noticed. We go now, he said. Quick and quiet. In and out. Charlotte stood. She looked so small in her school uniform. So young to be carrying this kind of fear. But she lifted her chin, squared her shoulders. Okay, she said. Let's go. They moved through the palace using service corridors. Mitchell knew every back route, every blind spot, every camera placement. He made sure they avoided all of them. The old tower entrance was locked. Standard security. Mitchell had keys for most palace doors. Came with the job. The lock clicked open. Inside, the air was colder, dusty. The kind of cold that seeped into your bones. The stairway spiraled upward. Stone walls, narrow windows, history pressing in from all sides. Charlotte led the way, up 3 flights, her footsteps quiet on the stone. At the top, a hallway, 4 doors, all closed. Third one, Charlotte whispered. Mitchell approached it, tried the handle, unlocked. The door swung open. The room was exactly as Charlotte described. Old furniture covered in dust sheets, a window overlooking the gardens. And in the corner, an ancient radiator, with rope still tied to it. Mitchell's heart hammered. There it was. Physical evidence. Exactly where Charlotte said it would be. He pulled out his phone again, photographed everything. The rope, the radiator, the room. Layout. The window showing the view Charlotte would have stared at for hours. He examined the rope closely. Good quality, not old palace storage rope. New. Purchased recently. Someone had planned this. The knots were tight. Professional. The kind of knots that wouldn't slip. That would hold a struggling child in place. Mitchell felt rage building in his chest. Fothamy forced it down. Rage didn't help. Evidence helped. He noticed something else. On the floor near the radiator, a teacup, delicate, royal china, and a small plate with biscuit crumbs. Charlotte hadn't been lying about any of it. Mitchell thought he heard something, footsteps on the stairs below. He froze, listened. Nothing, just old building sounds, his nerves playing tricks. "We need to go," he said quietly. He untied the rope from the radiator, careful not to disturb the knots, rolled it up. Evidence. He'd need to secure this properly. They left the room, locked the door behind them, moved quickly down the stairs. At the bottom, Mitchell paused, checked the corridor. Clear. "Go back to your quarters," he told Charlotte. "Act normal. If anyone asks where you've been, you were in the library reading. Can you do that?" She nodded. "I'm going to take this to people who can help, people who have authority. But Charlotte, this might take time. Can you be patient? Can you trust me?" "I trust you," she said. Then, quieter. "Thank you for believing me." She walked away. Small figure in a school uniform, trying so hard to be brave. Mitchell watched until she turned the corner. Then he looked down at the rope in his hands. Queen Camilla had made a mistake. She'd left evidence, and she'd underestimated what a royal guard would do when a child needed protection. Now Mitchell had to decide his next move, and he had to choose carefully, because what he did in the next few hours would either save Charlotte or destroy his own career. He thought about his daughters, about what he'd want someone to do if they were in Charlotte's position. The answer was clear. Protocol be damned. This child needed protection, and he was going to make sure she got it. Mitchell headed toward his office. He needed to secure this evidence. Then he needed to make a call. Not to palace security, not to official channels. He needed to call someone who would care more about Charlotte than about protecting the institution. He needed to call Prince William. Mitchell locked the rope in his desk drawer. Safe for now. But evidence meant nothing if he couldn't get it to the right people. He pulled out his personal phone. Not the official palace device. This conversation couldn't be monitored, couldn't be intercepted by palace staff who might be loyal to Camilla. He had William's private number. All senior protection officers did. For emergencies only. This qualified. The phone rang twice. Then William's voice. "Mitchell, what's wrong?" Direct. No pleasantries. William knew this number meant trouble. "Your Highness, I need to speak with you. In person. Immediately. It concerns Princess Charlotte." A pause. Mitchell heard William's breathing change. Sharper. Alert. "Is she hurt?" "She's safe right now. But sir, something has happened. Something serious. I can't discuss it over the phone." "Where are you?" "East Guard Station. But I can come to you." "No. Stay there. I'm 10 minutes away." The line went dead. Mitchell sat back. 10 minutes. He used the time to organize his thoughts. The evidence, the timeline. How to present this to a father about his daughter being abused by his stepmother. There was no gentle way to say it. 8 minutes later, the door opened. William came in alone. No security detail. No staff. He'd come quietly, when his face was tight with concern. "What happened?" Mitchell stood. "Sir, what I'm about to tell you is difficult, but I need you to listen to everything before you react." "Tell me." Mitchell laid it out. Concise. Factual. Charlotte hiding in the storage room. The rope burns. Her account of what happened. The physical evidence he'd recovered. He showed William the photographs. Charlotte's wrists. The rope tied to the radiator, the teacup and plate. William's face went pale, then red. His hands clenched into fists. Camilla did this. Not a question, a statement. According to Princess Charlotte, yes, sir. Where is she now? Charlotte? Back in her quarters, I told her to act normal. I didn't want to alert anyone until I spoke with you. William paced. 3 steps one way, 3 steps back. Mitchell had seen this before. A man trying to control rage through movement. How long? William asked. How long was my daughter tied up? She estimates several hours, from after school until just before dinner. In the old tower, with no heat. William's voice was dangerously quiet. She could have frozen. She could have... He didn't finish. Couldn't. Mitchell gave him a moment. Sir, I need your authorization to proceed. This goes beyond standard security protocol. The accused is... I don't care who she is. William turned to face him. She hurt my child. I want her arrested. Now. It's not that simple. Palace protocol requires... Forget protocol. With respect, sir, we can't. If we move without proper documentation, proper channels, this gets dismissed as a misunderstanding. Or worse, and Charlotte gets accused of fabricating stories. Mitchell saw William wrestle with this, the father wanting immediate justice, the future king understanding political reality. What do you recommend? William asked, finally. We need a medical examination, official documentation of Charlotte's injuries. Then we need witness statements, staff who might have seen Camilla in that wing yesterday, security footage if any exists. We build a case that can't be dismissed. How long will that take? 24 hours, maybe less. And in the meantime, Camilla stays here, in the same building as Charlotte. We make sure they're never alone together. I can arrange additional security for Charlotte. Subtle. She won't even notice. William thought about it. Mitchell could see him calculating, weighing options. Do it, William said. But Mitchell, if Camilla gets within 50 feet of Charlotte before this is resolved, you have my permission to intervene. Physically, if necessary. Understood, sir. And Mitchell, thank you for believing her, for acting on it. Mitchell nodded. She's a brave girl. She deserves justice. What he discovered next changed everything. But first, if you're enjoying this story, drop a like and let us know in the comments. Would you have done the same? Now, here's what the guard found. William left the same way he'd come. Quiet, invisible. Mitchell immediately made calls. First, to Dr. Sarah Henderson, the palace physician. He explained he needed a medical examination for Princess Charlotte. Injuries consistent with restraint. Documentation required. Dr. Henderson asked no questions. Said she'd be ready in 20 minutes. Second call. I'm Captain Richard Wells, his commanding officer in Royal Protection. Mitchell gave him a brief summary. Wells's response was immediate. You're certain about this? I have physical evidence. I have Charlotte's testimony, and I have the Prince of Wales's authorization to investigate. Bloody hell. Wells exhaled. All right. I'm assigning 2 additional guards to Charlotte's detail, rotation every 4 hours. She doesn't go anywhere without protection. Thank you, sir. Mitchell, be careful. You're accusing a queen. If this goes wrong, we all burn. Mitchell knew. He was betting his career on a 9-year-old's word. But he'd seen her face. Her fear. Those rope burns. Some bets were worth taking. Dr. Henderson met him outside Charlotte's quarters. A woman in her mid-50s. Calm, professional. She'd served the royal family for 15 years. Oh, what am I looking for? She asked quietly. Rope burns. Both wrists. Fresh. Less than 24 hours old. They entered Charlotte's room together. Kate was there. She looked up, surprised. Dr. Henderson, is something wrong? Mitchell spoke before the doctor could. Routine medical check, ma'am. Standard protocol after any reported injury at school. It was a lie, but a necessary one. Until they had everything documented, the fewer people who knew, the better. Kate looked uncertain but nodded. Charlotte, the doctor needs to examine you. Charlotte emerged from her adjoining study room. She saw Mitchell. Understanding flashed in her eyes. Of course, Mummy. Dr. Henderson was thorough. She examined Charlotte's wrists under proper lighting, photographed them from multiple angles, measured the diameter of the marks, and took skin temperature readings, checked for nerve damage. Kate watched with growing concern. What exactly happened at school? Charlotte looked at Mitchell. He gave a subtle shake of his head. Not yet. I slipped during PE, Charlotte said. Caught myself on a rope. It's fine, really. Dr. Henderson's face revealed nothing, but Mitchell saw her pause, saw the way she examined the marks more closely. These weren't friction burns from slipping. These were compression marks from being bound. I'll need to file a report, Dr. Henderson said neutrally. Standard procedure. Kate frowned. For rope burns? For any injury requiring documentation, ma'am. After the examination, Mitchell walked Dr. Henderson to the corridor. Those marks, she said quietly, they're consistent with deliberate restraint. Not an accident. Can you confirm that in your report? I can, and I will. But Sergeant, Charlotte told her mother she slipped. Why is she lying? Because she's terrified of the person who did this. Dr. Henderson's eyes widened slightly. Who? Mitchell hesitated, then decided she needed to know. She was part of this now. Queen Camilla. The doctor went very still. You're certain? I have Charlotte's testimony. I have the rope. I have the room. Everything matches. Dear God. Dr. Henderson looked back toward Charlotte's quarters. That poor child. Your report needs to be detailed, unambiguous. Can you do that? I'm a doctor. My duty is to the patient, not to politics. She straightened. You'll have my full report within 2 hours. Mitchell's next stop was the Palace Security Office. He needed to review yesterday's footage and see if cameras had captured Camilla taking Charlotte to the old tower. The security supervisor, James Portman, pulled up the logs. What time frame? Yesterday, between 1500 hours and 1900 hours, East Wing, Old Tower access points. Portman's fingers flew across the keyboard. Multiple screens showed different camera angles, corridors, stairwells, entrances. There, Mitchell pointed. 16:23 hours. The footage showed Camilla walking with Charlotte, heading toward the old tower entrance. Camilla's hand on Charlotte's shoulder, guiding her. To anyone watching, it looked innocent, a grandmother spending time with her granddaughter. But Mitchell saw Charlotte's body language, stiff, uncertain. Continue forward, he said. They watched. Camilla and Charlotte disappeared into the tower stairwell. No cameras inside. The old building hadn't been updated with modern security. At 18:47 hours, Camilla emerged, alone. She looked around, checking if anyone was watching, then walked quickly toward the main palace. 13 minutes later, Charlotte appeared. Moving slowly, arms wrapped around herself, she went directly to her quarters. I need copies of this footage, Mitchell said. Official evidence request. Portman looked uncomfortable. Sergeant, I'll need authorization for that. These feeds show the Queen. You'll have it from Prince William himself. Portman's eyebrows rose, but he nodded. I'll prepare the files. Mitchell was building the case. Medical evidence, video footage, physical evidence, Charlotte's testimony, each piece reinforcing the others. But he knew Camilla wouldn't sit idle once she realized something was happening. He was right. At 1400 hours, his radio crackled. Sergeant Mitchell, you're requested in the Queen's private office. Immediately. Mitchell's pulse quickened. She knew. Somehow she'd figured out he was investigating. He considered refusing, but that would only escalate things. Acknowledged, he said. En route. Camilla's office was in the West Wing. Elegant, expensive, every detail carefully curated. She sat behind her desk when Mitchell entered, and not standing to greet him. A power move. Sergeant Mitchell. Her voice was cold, controlled. I understand you've been asking questions about my activities yesterday. So she had someone reporting to her. Palace staff loyal to her position. Ma'am, I'm conducting a routine investigation into an incident involving Princess Charlotte. An incident? Camilla's smile didn't reach her eyes. How interesting, because Princess Charlotte told me just this morning that she had a lovely afternoon yesterday, reading in the library. No incidents whatsoever. With respect, ma'am, and that's not what Charlotte told me. Oh? Camilla stood now, walked around her desk. And what exactly did my granddaughter tell you? Mitchell knew this trap. If he revealed details, Camilla could prepare counter-arguments, get her story aligned, apply pressure to Charlotte to recant. I'm not at liberty to discuss an ongoing investigation. An investigation? Camilla's voice went sharp. You're investigating me? I'm investigating an allegation of harm against a minor. That's my duty. Your duty is to protect this family, not cause disruptions based on a child's overactive imagination. Charlotte's injuries are real, not imaginary. Injuries from PE class, from playing too roughly. Children hurt themselves constantly. Mitchell met her eyes. The medical evidence suggests otherwise. Something flickered in Camilla's expression. Concern, quickly masked. I think you're overstepping, Sergeant. Significantly. Perhaps you need reminding of your place. My place is protecting members of this family. All members, especially the most vulnerable. The most vulnerable? Camilla's laugh was harsh. Charlotte is one of the most privileged children on earth. She has no concept of real hardship, real struggle. Perhaps that's something she needs to learn. There it was, an admission, carefully worded, deniable, but an admission nonetheless. Mitchell kept his expression neutral. Is that why you tied her to a radiator in the old tower? Camilla's face went white, then red. How dare you? I have the rope, ma'am. I have photographs. I have video footage of you taking her there. I have medical documentation. I have Charlotte's testimony. Charlotte is 9 years old. She's confused. She misunderstood. She has rope burns on both wrists. Matching the rope I found still tied to the radiator where you left it. Camilla stared at him. Mitchell saw her recalculating, trying to figure out her next move. This is absurd, she said finally. I won't dignify these accusations with further discussion. You're dismissed. I'm afraid I can't be dismissed, ma'am. This investigation has authorization from Prince William. That landed. Camilla's composure cracked slightly. William knows about this. He's seen the evidence. He's authorized full investigation. I want to speak with him, now. That can be arranged, through proper channels. Camilla moved closer. Her voice dropped. Dangerous. Quiet. You have no idea what you're doing, Sergeant. No idea who you're dealing with. I could have you removed from service with a single phone call. That's your prerogative, ma'am, but it won't change the evidence. Evidence can disappear. Testimonies can change. Little girls can be persuaded that they remembered things incorrectly. Mitchell felt cold fury. Are you threatening a child? I'm simply noting that children are easily confused, suggestible, especially when adults they trust tell them what really happened. That sounds like witness tampering, Camilla smiled, predatory. That sounds like a concerned grandmother helping her granddaughter understand a confusing situation. Mitchell realized he was dealing with someone more dangerous than he'd anticipated. Camilla wasn't panicking, wasn't breaking down. She was strategizing, planning how to control the narrative. This conversation is over, Mitchell said. You'll be contacted regarding formal interview procedures. Will I? Camilla returned to her desk, sat down, back in control. We'll see about that. Mitchell left. His hands were shaking slightly, not from fear, from rage barely contained. Camilla had essentially confessed, admitted she'd done it, then threatened both him and Charlotte, and he needed to report this immediately. But when he reached for his radio, he hesitated. Radio communications could be intercepted, monitored. If Camilla had staff loyal to her, they might be listening. He needed to reach William in person. Mitchell headed toward William's private office, but halfway there, he saw Kate. She was walking quickly, purpose in her stride, and she looked furious. She saw Mitchell, changed direction, walked straight to him. "Sergeant Mitchell, a word, now." She led him into a small sitting room, closed the door. "Charlotte just told me everything," Kate said. Her voice was shaking. "Everything about yesterday, about Camilla, about being tied up for hours. Why didn't you tell me immediately?" "Ma'am, I needed to secure evidence first. Protocol required." "Protocol?" Kate's eyes flashed. "My daughter was tortured, and you followed protocol?" "I followed the procedures necessary to ensure justice. If I'd come to you without evidence, this becomes a he said, she said situation. Camilla's word against Charlotte's. She's the queen. Charlotte is 9. Who wins that argument?" Kate stared at him. The anger didn't leave her face, but understanding crept in. "You were protecting her," she said quietly. "I was building a case that can't be dismissed, that can't be swept under the palace rug. Charlotte deserves more than her word being questioned." Kate's shoulders sagged slightly. "Is it enough? The evidence?" "It's substantial. Medical documentation, video footage, physical evidence. Camilla's own statements to me 20 minutes ago." "What statements?" Mitchell hesitated, then decided Kate needed to know everything. So she essentially admitted it, claimed Charlotte needed to learn about hardship, then threatened that testimonies could change, that Charlotte could be persuaded she remembered wrong. Kate's face went cold, absolutely cold. Mitchell had never seen her like this. "She threatened my daughter." "Yes, ma'am." "Where is Camilla now?" "Her office. But ma'am, we need to handle this carefully." Kate was already moving toward the door. Mitchell caught her arm gently. "Please, let the investigation proceed. Confronting her now could compromise everything." Kate turned. "She hurt my child, threatened my child, and you want me to wait?" "I want you to let us finish building the case. So when this comes to light, there's no escape, no excuses, no royal privilege that makes it disappear." They stood there, mother and guard, both wanting the same thing, justice for Charlotte. "How long?" Kate asked. 24 hours, maybe less." "And Charlotte's safe until then?" "I have extra guards on her detail. She's never alone. And Camilla knows we're watching now." Kate took a breath, released it slowly. 24 hours, she said. "But Mitchell, if anything else happens to Charlotte, I don't care about evidence or procedure. Understood?" "Understood, ma'am." Kate left. Mitchell stood alone in the sitting room. The investigation was accelerating, evidence mounting, but so was the danger. Camilla knew she was cornered, and cornered people did desperate things. He pulled out his phone, sent a quick text to Captain Wells. "Increase Charlotte's protection. Immediate threat level elevated." The response came seconds later. "Already done. 4 guards rotating. Armed." Mitchell headed back to his office. He had reports to file, evidence to organize, a case to build that would stand up against royal pressure. But he couldn't shake Camilla's words. Evidence can disappear. She was planning something. He could feel it. The question was what, and how soon. He didn't have to wait long for the answer. At 1700 hours, Mitchell's phone rang. Dr. Henderson. "Sergeant, my medical report has been submitted, but there's something else. I was just contacted by the Queen's office. They're requesting I amend my findings." Mitchell's jaw clenched. "On what grounds?" "They claim I misinterpreted the injuries, that they want a second opinion, from a physician of their choosing. Did you amend anything? Absolutely not. My report is accurate. But, Sergeant, they're applying pressure. Significant pressure. Document everything, every contact, every request, every threat. Already doing so. Mitchell hung up. So Camilla was moving quickly, trying to undermine the medical evidence, trying to install a friendly doctor who'd write a different conclusion. He needed to accelerate the timeline. His radio crackled. Sergeant Mitchell, Officer Davis, we have a situation. Mitchell's blood went cold. Davis was one of the guards assigned to Charlotte. Report. Queen Camilla just arrived at Princess Charlotte's quarters. She's demanding entry, says she needs to speak with Charlotte privately. Under no circumstances is she allowed near Charlotte. Is that clear? Sir, she's the Queen. She's ordering us to step aside. Mitchell was already running. Hold position. I'm 2 minutes away. He sprinted through corridors. His staff scattered. He didn't care. When he reached Charlotte's quarters, he found exactly what Davis had described. Camilla standing outside the door, 2 guards blocking her path, Kate inside with Charlotte. Camilla saw Mitchell. Her expression hardened. Sergeant, tell your men to stand down. I'm afraid I can't do that, Ma'am. I want to see my granddaughter. That's not a request. And I have orders to ensure Princess Charlotte's safety. Those orders supersede visitation requests. Orders from whom? Prince William and Princess Catherine. Camilla's face flushed. This is absurd. I'm being treated like a criminal in my own home. You're being treated as a person of interest in an active investigation. People were gathering. Staff. Other guards. This was becoming public. Messy. The door opened. Kate stepped out. Her face was calm, and dangerously calm. Camilla, leave, now. Catherine, this is ridiculous. I just want to talk to Charlotte, to clear up this misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding. You hurt my daughter. You threatened her. And now you want access to her so you can intimidate her into changing her story. That's not... I saw her wrists. I saw the medical report. I know what you did. Camilla looked around. At the gathering crowd. At the guards. At Kate's unyielding expression. You're making a mistake, Camilla said quietly. All of you. This will have consequences. Yes, Kate said. For you. Camilla turned and walked away. Spine straight. Head high. But Mitchell saw the tension in her shoulders. The too quick pace. She was afraid now, and fear made people reckless. Kate turned to Mitchell. I want a meeting. Now. You, me, William, and whoever else needs to be there. We end this today. Yes, ma'am. Within the hour, they were assembled in William's private study. William and Kate, Mitchell, Captain Wells, Dr. Henderson, and one more person Mitchell hadn't expected. Princess Anne. The king's sister sat in a chair by the window. 73 years old, sharp eyes, sharper mind. She'd spent decades in royal service. She understood palace politics better than anyone. Right, Anne said briskly. Someone explain what's happening, and don't waste my time with diplomatic language. Mitchell laid out everything, start to finish. Charlotte's account, the physical evidence, the medical documentation, the video footage, Camilla's threats. Anne listened without interrupting. When Mitchell finished, she turned to Dr. Henderson. Your professional opinion, and are those injuries consistent with deliberate restraint? Yes, ma'am, without question. And the rope Sergeant Mitchell recovered, does it match the injury pattern? Perfectly. Anne looked at the photographs. Her face revealed nothing, but her hands tightened on the armrests. Where is Charlotte now? She asked. In her quarters, Kate said, with guards. I want to speak with her, alone. Kate started to object. Anne raised a hand. Catherine, I've known that child since birth. If she's been hurt, I want to hear it from her. without anyone else influencing what she says. Kate looked at William. He nodded. All right, Kate said, but I'm walking you there. They left. The room fell silent. Mitchell stood at attention, waiting. William spoke first. What happens now? Legally, Captain Wells answered. With this evidence, we have grounds for formal charges. Child endangerment at minimum, possibly assault, false imprisonment. Against a queen, against a person who committed a crime. Her title doesn't provide immunity from criminal law. William rubbed his face. This will be a nightmare. The press, the public, the family. The alternative, Mitchell said quietly, is letting her get away with it and trusting she won't do it again. William looked at him. You think she would? I think people who hurt children once will hurt them again if there are no consequences. And I think Charlotte deserves to feel safe in her own home. We're approaching the moment that shocked everyone who witnessed it. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. We share stories like this daily. Here's what happened when the truth came out. 20 minutes later, Anne returned. Her face was grim. I spoke with Charlotte. She told me everything. Details she hadn't shared with anyone else. Things that corroborate Sergeant Mitchell's findings completely. Kate leaned forward. What details? Camilla told Charlotte this was punishment for being too confident, too outspoken, that young princesses should be seen and not heard, that Charlotte needed to learn humility. Anne's voice was ice. She called it character building. The room erupted. William swearing. Kate standing abruptly. Even Captain Wells looked shocked. Anne continued. Charlotte also told me this wasn't the first time Camilla had been cruel. There were other incidents, smaller, verbal, undermining comments disguised as concern. But this was the first time it became physical. Why didn't she tell us? Kate asked, her voice breaking. Because Camilla convinced her no one would believe her, that she'd be punished for lying, that she'd bring shame to the family. Mitchell felt sick. How long had this been going on? How many times had Charlotte suffered in silence? I want her removed, William said. From the palace, from any access to my children. Today. Anne nodded. I agree. But this needs to be handled carefully. We're talking about the king's wife. Then we talk to the king. Charles is at Balmoral. He returns tomorrow morning. We brief him immediately when he arrives. Full disclosure. All evidence. Anne studied William. You understand this could fracture the family permanently? My father married that woman. I didn't. And I won't sacrifice my daughter's safety to keep the peace. Anne smiled slightly. Good. That's the right answer. She turned to Mitchell. Sergeant, you've done exceptional work. Thorough. Professional. You've protected that child when others might have looked away. Just doing my job, ma'am? No. You went well beyond your job. You risked your career to protect someone vulnerable. That takes courage. Mitchell said nothing. What could he say? Anne stood. I'll speak to Charles tonight. Prepare him. When he arrives tomorrow, we present everything. Then he makes a decision about his wife. And if he chooses to protect Camilla? Kate asked. Anne's expression hardened. Then William exercises his authority as Prince of Wales and father. Camilla loses all access to the Wales children. Permanent restraining order if necessary. Charles can make his choice. But William's children are not negotiable. It was settled. The meeting broke up. Plans made for the next morning's confrontation. Mitchell returned to his office, exhausted, drained. But his work wasn't finished. At 2200 hours, his phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Meet me. Chapel. Midnight. Come alone. See. Camilla. Wanting a private meeting. Mitchell stared at the message. Every instinct said it was a trap. A setup. But he also knew Camilla was desperate. Desperate people made mistakes. Said things they shouldn't. He texted back. Agreed. At midnight, Mitchell entered the palace chapel. Small. Private. used for family services. Camilla stood near the altar, alone. No guards, no staff. "You came," she said. "You asked." She turned to face him. In the dim light, she looked older, tired. "I want to make a deal," she said. "I'm not authorized to make deals. I'll resign, work quietly, cite health reasons, return to my private residence. No scandal, no press, no trial." "In exchange for what?" "Dropping the investigation, sealing the evidence, allowing this to disappear." Mitchell shook his head. "That's not my decision to make." "You could recommend it. William listens to you. You hurt a child. Why would I recommend you face no consequences?" Camilla's composure cracked slightly. "It was a mistake. I went too far. But I didn't mean to truly harm her. You tied a 9-year-old to a radiator for hours, in a freezing room. What did you think would happen?" "I wanted to teach her resilience. Strength. She's too soft, too sheltered. She's a child. She's a future princess. The world will be cruel to her. I was preparing her." Mitchell felt disgust. By traumatizing her? By showing her reality? Camilla stepped closer. "I grew up with nothing, Sergeant. I fought for everything I have. These children have everything handed to them. They need to understand struggle." "So you created struggle for them? Through abuse? Through education? That's what you're calling it? Education?" Camilla's face hardened. "Fine, you want to play righteous. But understand this. If you pursue charges, this destroys the family. Charles will be humiliated. William's children will be caught in the crossfire. The monarchy itself could be damaged." "Or," Mitchell said, "justice is served. A child is protected, and the message is sent that no one is above the law." "You're naive." "I'm doing my job." Camilla studied him. You really believe Charlotte matters more than the institution?" "Every time." She laughed, bitter. "Then you're a fool. Institutions survive. People don't." "Then I'll be a fool who protected a child. You'll be a queen who tortured one. History can decide which is worse." Camilla's expression went cold. "This isn't over." "Yes," Mitchell said. "It is." He left the chapel. Behind him, Camilla stood alone. The next morning, King Charles arrived at 900 hours. Mitchell was summoned to the stateroom along with William, Kate, Anne, and senior palace officials. Charles looked confused, concerned. "Someone tell me what this is about," he said. Anne spoke first, concise, direct. No softening. Charles's face went from confusion to disbelief to horror as the evidence was presented. He saw the photographs, read the medical report. Ez watched the video footage. "This can't be true," he said, finally. "Camilla wouldn't—" "She did," William said, "and she's admitted it. To Sergeant Mitchell, to others." Charles turned to Mitchell. "What exactly did she say?" Mitchell recounted the chapel conversation, word for word, Camilla's justifications, her threat, her offer to disappear. Charles sat down heavily. "Dear God." The room waited. Finally, Charles looked up. "Where is she now?" "Her quarters," Anne said. "Bring her here." 10 minutes later, Camilla entered. She saw the assembled group, the evidence laid out, Charles's expression. She knew. "Charles, let me explain. Did you tie Charlotte to a radiator?" Charles asked. His voice flat, controlled. "It's more complicated than—" "Yes or no?" Camilla hesitated. Then, "Yes, but I was trying to help her. To teach her, you tortured my granddaughter." "That's not what I—" "You tortured my granddaughter." Charles stood. "For hours. You left her bound, alone, terrified. I was teaching her resilience. You were abusing a child." Camilla looked around the room, looking for an ally, finding none. "This is an overreaction," she said. "Charlotte is fine. No permanent damage." Kate made a sound, fury barely contained. Charles raised a hand. Camilla, you have two choices. Resign immediately. Public statement citing health concerns. Move to Highgrove permanently. No contact with William's children. Ever. Or we proceed with criminal charges. Public trial. Full disclosure. Camilla went pale. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious in my life. I'm your wife. You hurt my family, my granddaughter, and that supersedes everything else. The final moments of this story are unforgettable. Stay with us until the end. Now here's what happened next. Camilla looked at Charles, really looked at him, searching for any sign he might relent. She found none. Fine, she said quietly. I'll resign. Today, statement prepared and released by noon. Agreed. And Camilla, Charles added, if you ever attempt contact with Charlotte, George, or Louis, I will personally ensure criminal charges are filed. Understood? Camilla nodded. Once. Then, left the room. The door closed behind her. Charles sat down again. He looked older, exhausted. I'm sorry, he said to William and Kate. I should have seen this. Should have known. You couldn't have known, Kate said gently. I brought her into this family. I'm into your children's lives. William put a hand on his father's shoulder. What matters is how you handled it when you found out. You chose Charlotte. You chose family. Charles nodded. Slowly. He turned to Mitchell. Sergeant, come here. Mitchell approached. You saw danger and acted. You protected my granddaughter when no one else did. You risked everything to do what was right. Charles extended his hand. Thank you. Mitchell shook it. I was just doing my duty, sir. No, you did more than duty. You did what was human, what was necessary. By noon, the statement was released. Queen Camilla was stepping back from public duties due to health concerns. She would be residing at Highgrove for the foreseeable future. The press speculated. Royal watchers analysed. But the real truth stayed within palace walls. 3 days later, Mitchell was called to Princess Anne's office. She handed him an envelope. From the king, private commendation won't be made public, but it's in your file, permanently. Mitchell opened it, read the words acknowledging his service, his courage, his protection of Princess Charlotte. Thank you, ma'am. Don't thank me. You earned it. Anne paused. How is Charlotte? Better. She's back to school. Laughing again. Still some nightmares. But she's resilient. Like her mother? Mitchell smiled. Yes, ma'am. Exactly like her mother. 1 week after everything ended, Mitchell was doing routine rounds. He passed through the garden where the Wales children often played. Charlotte was there with George and Louis, running, playing tag. Her laughter carried across the grass. She saw Mitchell, waved, he waved back. Kate was sitting on a nearby bench. She called to him. Sergeant, a moment. Mitchell approached. I never properly thanked you, Kate said, for believing her, for protecting her. No thanks necessary, ma'am. Yes, they are. Kate looked at Charlotte. She told me something yesterday. She said she felt safe because she knew good people were watching over her. People who cared more about doing right than following rules. Mitchell followed her gaze. Charlotte had tackled George. Both of them were laughing. She's strong, Mitchell said. Stronger than Camilla gave her credit for. She is, but she shouldn't have had to be that strong. Not at 9. No, she shouldn't have. They sat in silence for a moment. You know, Kate said, there are rules in place to protect the institution, to maintain order. But sometimes those rules fail the very people they're meant to protect. Thank you for knowing the difference. Just doing what anyone should do. But not everyone would. That's what makes it matter. Mitchell returned to his duties. The palace continued its rhythms, tours, ceremonies, the daily machinery of royal life. But something had shifted. A line had been drawn, a precedent set. No one, not queens, Not royalty, not power or position. No one was above the basic duty to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Charlotte never spoke publicly about what happened, but privately, she healed. Therapy helped. Time helped. Having parents who believed her helped most of all. And sometimes, when she saw Sergeant Mitchell during his rounds, she'd give him a small smile, a nod, and an acknowledgement between two people who understood what courage looked like when it mattered most. Camilla remained at Highgrove, rarely seen. The king visited occasionally, but the marriage was different now, changed by the weight of what had happened. Mitchell continued his service. Years passed. He was promoted, given additional responsibilities. But he never forgot that morning in the storage room, a scared child hiding in the dark, making the choice to trust someone, to speak up when she'd been told no one would believe her. That's what true duty looked like. Not following orders blindly, not maintaining protocol at all costs. It was knowing when rules mattered less than doing what was right, when protecting power mattered less than protecting people, when keeping the peace mattered less than ensuring justice. Mitchell had made that choice. And in doing so, he'd given Charlotte something more valuable than physical safety. He'd given her the knowledge that someone cared, that someone would stand up for her, that her voice mattered. That was worth more than any commendation, any career advancement, any royal approval. It was worth everything. If this story showed you something about royal guards you didn't know, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. We share these untold stories from inside the palace every single day. Drop a comment. If you were in Sergeant Mitchell's position, would you have risked your career to protect Charlotte? Or would you have followed protocol and reported through official channels? We'll see you in the next one.